So today we are talking about the shadow side of the root chakra. There are many ways that the shadow can show up in our lives and how it's tied to the root chakra. However, we're going to focus on 3 of the ways here today. So some of you may be like, well, what in the hell is the shadow? This is a concept from, well, Freudian psychology had a shadow, but Jungian psychology really, I think, brought the shadow more into mainstream. So I'm going to go with the Jungian psychology. But it's the part of you that blocks you from the light. And so in Jungian psychology, it can include everything outside the light of consciousness and may be positive or negative. It's your limiting beliefs. Sometimes we don't realize we have those. Inherited trauma. I'm studying a lot of ancestral lineage repair and inherited family trauma right now. It's really interesting, these things that go on. My mom and I were just talking about this morning how we both have a left foot issue. I said, well, I'm starting to learn more about that, but I feel like there's something that we're holding on from one of our lineage. Side note, learned patterns and behaviors, stored emotions, so repression. But the good news is that once you learn to embrace or sit with the shadow rather than repress it, which we tend to do, you can choose to work through these things in order to realize your full potential and really become the authentic self, the true you, the true nature. You've heard some of these terms before. Excuse me. You can heal childhood wounds and then find balance in your body, mind, and heart, which I know we all want to. We all need some repair in some ways. Not that we're broken in a sense. We may feel that way sometimes, but it's more of we're just trying to release these things that are kind of holding us back. It's not necessarily a fixing in that we're broken. It's that we have these layers that don't serve us. And you may have heard that term, especially in the yoga world. These things that don't serve us, and so we release them so that we can start to raise our vibration and connect more on a spiritual level, honestly. So repression of the shadow is the oldest wound there is. It usually forms at a very young age because we start to repress our parts of ourselves in an attempt to secure love and acceptance. So we all want to feel safe and loved. So in the early years of life, especially between 1 and 3, which the root chakra governs, being loved and accepted by our primary caregivers is critical to survival because we actually do need them to care for us to keep us alive. I mean, I have a 15-month-old who's into everything and is now running on the couch and climbed down to the pack and play over here and flipped out because one day when I turned my back, they're literally all over the place now. So, and oftentimes we don't remember that time of our lives. So these are really, really repressed. And it doesn't mean that you had to, you didn't have to have this big T crazy trauma like war or something like that to feel the primitive fight or flight response that kicks in if we feel our love is threatened at a very young age. Okay, so it can just be chaos in the home, and it can be a subtle chaos. So for me, and we've talked about this before, my parents were super young. They're 20, 22. They're just getting to know themselves as well. And suddenly, anybody out there with children, it totally is a challenging time. And it really changes and turns your whole world upside down. So when you're trying to find yourself, you may have even experienced that as a young mother, or a young couple, or, whatever. When you look back and where you are now versus then, if you had children young or something like that, like what was going on in your life, and just starting to notice, this is what I'm starting to write about, well, I've been writing about for my book, is the relationship of what's going on with us and how it affects our children. Totally another episode. But what the whole point is that in these early years of life, it's really critical. I'm grateful because I'm able to raise my child differently. I have very loving parents who care for us, but they were, like I said, they were young, and so there were things that they weren't taught, so then weren't passed down to me, and I've had to learn on my own. And so in some ways, or things they've had to work through or never worked through that affected the children. So in some ways, like my fight or flight response kicked in from a very young age, and I've realized that and worked through, and now I'm sharing a lot of this knowledge with you, is because you're trying to get out of the survival mode, and so that survival mode was programmed at a very young age. And so these are ways to recognize that exists, because sometimes we don't realize it. So that's the first step. And then there's ways to help our nervous system come back to balance, to show us, okay, now I am safe, I am loved. And or even if you are now but you don't understand why you don't feel that way, it's really repressed and a deep wound, but it can be healed. So how does this relate to the chakra system in yoga? Because I'm a yoga therapist, right? So the root chakra is the first of 7 energetic centers, and like I mentioned before, it's tied to the first 3 years of life. It's connected to that. But if you can imagine, because it's not physical, it's in the energetic layer of the body. So every human has different layers. It's a red wheel of energy, and it's located at the base of the spine, or even the base of the pelvic bowl. It houses your thoughts, emotions, experiences relating to your foundational needs. So your foundational needs, of course, when you're a baby and a toddler. So by exploring the shadow of this chakra, you can uncover the mental and emotional blocks that may contribute to physical health issues, relationship issues. Why do you keep choosing the same person? Why does that repeat? Every area of your life. Why are there financial issues? Why can you not keep a friendship? Why do you constantly seek out something new? Why do you not always feel fulfilled? Those sort of things. So there's all kinds of aspects of the root chakra and the shadow side. But once we start to recognize them, like realizing there's a limiting belief, that sort of stuff, then we can start to shift them. And it's really just bringing it to consciousness. But because we don't want to feel emotions hurt, right? We don't want to feel those hurts. We don't want to feel, we don't want to feel hurt. We don't like that. We think in the mainstream culture, anger is not okay. So we repress the anger even though we're angry, and it's a certainly healthy emotion. Certainly there are ways it can be expressed unhealthily, if that's a word, in an unhealthy way. But because we're like, well, you're not supposed to feel that way. You're not supposed to feel that way. And so then we keep repressing and shoving them down. And this is why I talk a lot about the pelvic bowl, because what I noticed in my one-on-one practice as a yoga therapist, and I do more than just yoga therapy, but is that every woman, including myself, this has been my own exploration, is disconnected from the pelvic bowl. And there's a house of energy center, the root chakra energetic center resides there, but there's more than just this chakra model. There's the feminine and masculine energies, which if that's new to you, I can go into another day. But there's so much power and force here, and we're not connected to it. And structurally, it connects to the upper torso and the legs and that sort of stuff. So that's why I like to talk about that. But let's go into these 3 energetic blocks and what you might especially be feeling right now because of COVID-19 and this worldwide pandemic. People are feeling this all over the world. I know I've been feeling it, and I especially was during the holidays when I didn't have childcare. It was really coming up for me, and I'll share some stories. So, isolation. Not just the ancient Indian chakra system recognized this, but science recognizes that human connection and support are essential needs for all of us. So, and we might not have recognized that prior to not being able to do it. Like, I found myself yesterday, like, can I please just go sit at a coffee shop and like be on my laptop and be like just around people, but not like with people, but just around, but you can't. And so I work at home, or I have a lounge luckily in my apartment building, but it was just like, I just wanted to enjoy like just being where people are. and so, and especially because we may not have seen family or seen them limited over the holidays. So like, we may not have recognized this before, but it's really coming up for us how much we need that social interaction, that human connection, and even touch is an essential need. So that's why, potluck at work and that sort of stuff. I mean, these aren't happening anymore. Saying hi to a stranger on the street, those sort of stuff, all of that connection makes you or helps you feel loved, safe, and nourished on a soul level. So what we're experiencing now, even more so, is that we're feeling lonely, maybe unheard or unseen, and this continues to bring out the root chakra out of balance because we're more and more isolated. And that's why a lot of shadow stuff is being brought up right now. And one of the reasons why I wanted to share my Rooted Woman program is to help everyone through that, because I understand. And it was already there. It was already there. I saw it in all of the women I've worked with, and including myself. But now it's like someone took out a flashlight and it's sort of like, well, you got to deal with this now or you're going to go crazy. So that's what is going on. So in a sense, the silver lining of all of this, last year, is that now the shadows come to light. But what do we do with it? Okay? So one of the mantras I like, and I say this to my dog because she was abused as a puppy, and she has issues with her paws, and that's a lack of sense of safety. I'm her third mom, basically, because she had who she was born into, which she was abused, the rescue mom for 9 months, and then me. And even though she's been with me for 8 years, I think, maybe a little more, she still feels in that fight or flight mode. And so I keep doing whatever I can. Now there's some mirroring stuff, so we're working through, what stuff came up for me during pregnancy and postpartum and COVID. So, working through that as well. But ultimately, feeling safe and loved is the root for my dog and me. I say it to my daughter as well. So you can repeat this mantra when you're feeling out of sorts. And I'm going to share some other things as well. I am safe and loved. And if you say this and come back into your body, either feel into your heart center, feel into your pelvic bowl, and even sitting on the ground or sitting in your chair, they kind of feel connected. That is very helpful. You might also think or even explore in your journal, when did I feel safer in being alone rather than with others? And maybe you do, maybe you don't, but it's something to explore. What thoughts and feelings hold you back from being vulnerable with your loved ones? That's something else to explore to help uncover the shadow. What is being repressed? So the isolation is one thing. Missing a connection to the earth. Now this was me last weekend. Um, and I mean, I think I feel this every day because I really want to live like on a horse ranch or near the ocean, wide open space, that sort of stuff. And it will come one day. But right now I live in the city. And so missing a connection to the earth. Well, the root chakra is the element that's connected is the earth. And so we are one with nature. We have a fundamental need as humans to be in a relationship with Mother Earth. And we're, especially if you live in the city, it's very far removed from that. We might have some parks or that sort of stuff, but on a daily basis, you're on concrete and, you don't have much. And then when it gets cold, like I'm feeling this right now, and this is where that kind of seasonal depression comes up for a lot of people in more colder climates that don't have necessarily, like in Indiana, for example, we don't have tons of snow. So while I don't love driving in it, it's not like I can go snowshoeing or skiing or whatnot. Like there's only limited options. And so you have to kind of be creative, put on lots of gear, go hiking, that sort of stuff. So that's one of the reasons why seasonal depression manifests itself during winter months when it's kind of gloomy and dark and cold. So when you deny your connection with Mother Earth and its resources, then you feel ungrounded and lack grounding. You don't feel rooted into Mother Earth. That's essentially what it is. And so to bring the root chakra and this energy out of that survival, ungrounded mode, you need to come back and notice the earth, commune with it, and allow it to support you. And you might be asking, well, how? Especially if you're in a colder climate right now. There are ways you can do it by connecting with herbs, like in your tea, or maybe you use some medicinal herbs. Of course, when even in the winter, you can walk barefoot in the grass, just not for a long time, and put your feet on the earth. You can meditate with houseplants if you want. One of the things I did recently was do a visualization of connecting, and I live on the 4th floor, so it's not like I'm that close to the earth, but just the visualization of connecting your root, your pelvic bowl, or where you're sitting with Mother Earth. And I really love, I've taught these meditations of your root chakra connecting, like you're planting roots into the ground, connecting with Mother Earth, and then opening up to receive that nourishment and support. That can help you feel grounded and stay grounded if done on a regular basis as well, that kind of meditation and visualization. So if you find yourself not able to connect with the physical earth due to where you live and that sort of stuff, visualizations can help. And of course, then what I'm hoping to do, and it's been hard because of COVID, but like go rent a cabin in the woods or, drive somewhere, or you do whatever you can, even if it's a little outside your city or wherever you're at, to be able to connect or have some silence or be in nature. And that's what I'm craving and planning for us, because I desperately need it. So the final thing I'm going to talk about today is being disconnected from the body, which, if you've listened to anything I've talked about or read anything, is that this is the core to what you want to do to come back to yourself. So the root chakra is imbalanced when you don't tune into the relationship with your body. And then, as a collective, we've experienced all this fear during the emergence of COVID-19. And then we're filled by the media, and we have to keep informed. However, the media can be, send a lot of fear to us. And so we have to come back to the body and trust the innate healing capabilities we have. And this is why I talk about, like, I have a course on immune building essentials, because how can you feed your body, use herbs, and I'm actually in an herbal course called Medicine Woman to learn more for me and my family. So how can you nourish your body? How can you support your immune system? Because we have an immune system. And nobody talks about this, which blows my mind. Like, your immune system is amazing, but it's also tied to your mental and emotional state, and your energetic layers. And so you have to support all of these ways. But you can nourish your root chakra, this energetic center, by reclaiming your body as a sacred vessel for your soul. You can take a few moments each day to listen to your body's cues. You can move mindfully, practice yoga or qigong or any type of movement that is mindful and slow, that allows your body to open up and allows you to actually feel, which I know is an emotion, is a feeling. Emotions, it can be scary, but you can start by just feeling your physical body, noticing. Sometimes we're like, oh, I didn't realize I was so tight there. That sort of stuff. So you can massage, self-massage. I do Abhyanga, which is an Ayurvedic practice of an oil massage. As often as possible. I have to do it when I have a nanny or sitter. But, like that, you're just putting your hands on your body. I have a podcast, the Love Your Belly episode with Dr. Christine Matheson, where we talk about loving your belly and putting your hands on your belly. I mean, my daughter did that with me this morning. She loves to pat my belly. But many women, and you might relate to this, don't even want to touch your belly. Like, you just don't. So, like, how can you nourish yourself? There's so many ways. You can do a foot massage with oil. There's all kinds of different things. But coming back to your body. And I'll give you an example, and then I'll give you a simple practice you can do. So I talked about I've been craving nature, and I felt I've had a lot going on, some transitions, because I'm trying to simplify, but I have to have some sort of child care for me to have some balance and sanity and have any time for myself as a mother. And my typical sitter has been out for the holidays for 3 weeks, and luckily my mother comes. You might have seen her and my daughter come through, but I can't get anything done. and so I just had to accept that. But I also, had to also accept it can be challenging, and I'm a single mother, so it can also be challenging. And last weekend I was feeling this, and I did some crying and praying and that sort of stuff, and did an energy therapy session. A friend did that with my dog, which helps shifts my energy, honestly, because we're so connected. And then I was like, okay, my daughter had this long nap. It was wonderful. And I started reading, and I started listening, because I'm in a book club for the Wild Feminine with Tammy Lynn Ken, and coming back to my pelvic bowl, and did this beautiful meditation to come back to my pelvic bowl, to connect with the earth, even from my apartment. And that's where the healing and the answers are. And I was reminded of that, just coming back to my body. Even though I know this and teach this, I just needed to come back, and I needed the space and time for it. And I'm just in this time where, it's busy mama time, and my daughter's all over the place. So I just have to accept the flow of this is the time. But then I was able to, she slept in the next morning, and I was able to do the same thing. And it just helped to reestablish that grounding for me. So with all these practices, they are practices. It doesn't mean that you will never go out of balance again, but it means you have tools to come back to balance, and you're reminded easily, like, oh, okay, I gotta do something for me. I need some practice. I need something. So one of the simple things to connect you back to your body and think about is tuning in when you have time, whether it's right now or whenever, is to just tune in. You can put your hands on your heart or your low belly, wherever, if that helps you tune into your body, and say thank you. Tell your body thank you for whatever makes sense to you. I took the time over last weekend to say thank you for being able to carry a baby to term and give birth. And thank you for still being able to move and take care of me and the household and my baby today. Even though my body's not what it used to be, even though I'm still working on bringing back to balance, I'm getting stronger. I do Pilates reformer and yoga, but it's like, I wasn't mad at my body, but a little annoyed. I'm sure you related but I know that my body's not my enemy, okay? But remembering to say thank you can be a simple healing practice, because your body is your partner and you want to recreate that relationship. So just to say thank you, and it's amazing how that can be so healing. So think about how you can say thank you to your body, and thank you for what? It might be thank you for allowing me to walk down the stairs or up the stairs, or thank you for taking me here. Thank you for being able to reach towards the sky without my shoulder hurting. Anything. Just find out how you can say thank you to your body. So just know this shadow side is not to be avoided. It's just we want to observe and process it. Okay, we want to bring it into the light so that it can be healed and we can release it. So all these hurts, traumas, and deep wounds we carry in our body, which our body's that living record of our lives. Okay? Just know that all of this has only shifted the passageway to access this core medicine that we have for healing. It's within us. It's still within us. It's just, we have to access it again. And so what tuning into the root chakra, embracing the shadow does is help us access the medicine that exists already inside of us. Okay, it's not external. Sometimes we need guidance, of course, to help us access it. But ultimately, we have it within every one of us. Like we are our own, we can be our own teachers, and we have our own journey. It's not going to look the same for that woman, for me, for this woman. We have it inside of us, but we need help sometimes into gaining awareness of it. So if you have any questions, feel free to comment below, message me, DM me directly, and I'm happy to answer questions, even if you're watching the replay. Again, I'm a certified yoga therapist. My name's Alyssa, if you haven't met me before, and I love sharing all of this. These are things that have helped me and helped a lot of women that I've worked with, and so I'm excited to be able to share this in a different way. So if you want to learn more about embracing the shadow and find healing in your body, mind, and heart, and you're ready to unlearn the patterns of perfectionism, learn how to have a loving relationship with your body. Like a lot of times we're dissociated if we've experienced trauma. If you want to learn how to nourish yourself and lower your stress and simplify, balance your nervous system, uncover and release these limiting beliefs, and begin to heal the wounds of your inner child, and ultimately belong to a community of like-minded women, then I invite you to join my Rooted Woman membership. It's really a community. I'm launching, the doors open January 12th, and I've made it very affordable. There's options to do one-on-ones with me. It'll be $12.99 per month. You can join the waitlist now at alyssapfennig.com/rootedwoman. There'll be a link below as well. There will be lessons each month and practices that are in tune with the season. and yoga and meditation classes with me that you can practice at your convenience, like shorter one and a longer one. Like I said, if you want to dive deeper and need more customized guidance and accountability, we all kind of need that sometimes. There will be options to work with me one-on-one. I take a limited amount of clients each month, just because I try to keep myself balanced, especially as a new mother. But I'm happy to do that, and we can do it online no matter where you live. Again, doors open January 2nd, and you can join the waitlist now at alyssapfennig.com/rootedwoman. I hope you can be a part of our community and be the rooted woman that you want to be, that you know you are, that you have the medicine within you to be again. And join me every Wednesday at noon Eastern time here on my Facebook page or in the Wild Wisdom Collective Facebook group, and we will talk more about all of this and how you can heal and feel better.